Hi everyone. In today's class, I will explain about constructor in Java programming. What is constructor? Constructor is a special method that is used to initialize instance variable at the time of object creation. It means that the constructor is also be called as a method that is used to initialize an object. Constructor have same name as a class name. It doesn't have any return time. Each time the object is created by using the new keyword, a constructor will be called automatically. It means that the constructor will get executed automatically when an object has been created to that class. A constructor can be created by the programmer. If the developer or programmer doesn't create any constructor, then compile provides a default constructor. Even if you are not using any type of the constructor in your application, the compiler will provide a default constructor. Java provides two types of the constructor. They're parameterless constructor and parameterized constructor. Then I will explain about each and every type with help of the example. The parameterless constructor. The parameterless constructor doesn't have any parameters. You can also create the parameterless constructor in Java. Java doesn't create any separate default constructor. It means that if you have created the parameterless constructor in your application, at that time, the compiler does not create any default constructor. Then what is the syntax to define a parameterless constructor in Java? It is a class name. Then access modifier is optional. Okay. The class name, the class name, it is same as the class name. The constructor name is same as the class name, but it doesn't have any parameters. That's why we call it as a parameterless constructor. Then it is used to initialize an object. The syntax has been used for the parameterless constructor. Then I will go for example. Anyway, I will explain with the help of the example. It is here. This is a class name is a constructor. Sorry, customer. It is a constructor. It is same name as a class name, but doesn't have any parameters. It is a parameterless constructor because which is used to initialize the instance variable. These are called as the instance variable. The instance variable has been initialized over here. Then when the constructor will get executed, I am creating the instance to the customer class. Here, once instance has been created to the customer class, the constructor will get executed. Then all the details have been displayed. This is the object name. Okay, the customer one, customer ID, customer name, contact number, address. Okay, this is a simple example for the parameterless constructor. Then I will go for the parameterized constructor. It means that the constructor can take or accept parameters. Those type of constructors are called as parameterized constructor. Generally, these are the values that need to be assigned to the instance variable of the class for that object. See here, this is called as this is the constructor name. This is called as the parameters 1, 2, 3, 4. The constructor is consist of 4 parameters. Okay, now we say that it is called as parameterized constructor. These are called instance variable. These are called as the local variables. That's why it is called as parameterized constructor. Then the simple example will also be given. These are called as parameters have been taken. But when this constructor will get executed, then instance have been created to that class. At the time of creating the instance, we will provide those values. The first parameter, the second parameter, the third parameter. This is called the fourth parameter. Okay, then this one will be placed over here. The second argument will be placed over here. The third argument will be placed in the contact variable. Then fourth parameter value has to be placed in this add variable. Okay, this is the way you can define the parameterized constructor. Anyway, I will execute those programs. Then you need to remember few points when you're working with the constructor. Avoid creating unnecessary constructors. Use constructor to initialize the state of an object. Then avoid duplicating code in constructor by using the constructor chaining. If you are using the multiple constructor in your application, that is called as constructor chaining, which is also called as constructor overloading. Document the purpose and usage of the constructor in a class documentation. Use parameterized constructor to provide the flexibility in object initialization. Generally, you go for parameter constructor to initialize an object of a class. Then I will go for execution. See here, the simple example have been written here. It is called as the parameterless constructor because it doesn't have any parameters over here. These are called as instance variable. X and Y has been initialized. This is another method for displaying the X and Y value. But when this constructor will get executed, when instance have been created to the class constructor example. Okay, I write that example. Constructor example, then reference variable for example OB, then instance have been created to that class constructor example. Okay, once you write the statement, the constructor will get executed, then X and Y values, X and Y variable has to be initialized. Then I want to call this method, then by using the object name, then display information. Okay, then I will execute this program. Java C constructor example dot Java. Sorry, it is a capital letter. No errors to be found in this example. Go for run. When you run this application, check the main method in the constructor ex. That class name you should provide. Constructor ex. That is a capital letter. Then what we got, x value should be 10, the y value should be 20, because the constructor does not call explicitly. I have not this called explicitly. When object has been created to that class, the constructor will get executed. Okay, how I converted into the parameterized constructor, then int for example m, int another variable int n. Now it is called as what? Parameterized constructor. Then x equal to m, then here y equal to n. After that, here how do you call this constructor? How do you provide this m and n values while you creating the instance to that class? Then for example 10, it is 20. That values have been provided. Then go for compilation and run. See, same example. No errors to be found. Java constructor ex. Okay. See here, x value would be 10, the y value would be 20. This is the way you can define the constructors in Java. If you have any doubt regarding the constructor, you may contact me through comments. Thank you all for watching my videos.